If you want a Range Rover type car with 7 seats, but you don't want an actual Range Rover, your choices are actually a bit limited. You could have a Mercedes GLS, or you could have one of these, a BMW X7. The X7 has always been a pretty bold design, but a facelift in 2022, a facelift that BMW states is its most comprehensive ever, has made its looks even more controversial. It shares its nostril nose styling inspiration with the latest 7 Series, and those new slim headlights add even more emphasis to the size of that grille. Light colours like this mineral white don't really help, making the front end look even more ungainly than it does in darker colours, but it certainly helps the X7 stand out from the crowd. Anyway, whatever you think of the styling, behind this distinctive nose, you will find some pretty powerful engines, all of which have been either revised or are completely new as part of the car's facelift. There is the 6-cylinder, 3-litre, 340 horsepower turbo diesel in the xDrive 40D, or there's the 530 horsepower twin turbo V8 in the M60i. And yes, that V8 is every bit as thirsty and as silly as it sounds. This is the entry-level petrol-powered X7, the xDrive 40i. Well, we say entry-level, but an M Sport spec car like this is £84,600, and once you've added some options, this particular car is more than £100,000. But we'll get onto that in more detail a bit later. That said, for your money, you do get an all-new 3-litre 6-cylinder petrol engine with 380 horsepower and mild hybrid technology to help you use a little bit less fuel. You're still not going to do any better than about 29 miles per gallon, mind you, but at least that's an improvement on the 23 mpg you'll get out of the V8, even if it is a bit short of the 37 mpg you'll get from the diesel. What you also get for your money, aside from this Range Rover style split tailgate, is space and seats. 7 of them, in fact, although it is possible to specify the middle row with 2 swanky captain's chairs for a bit of extra luxury, making the X7 a 6-seater. With all 7 seats in place, there's about the same sort of boot space as you'd get in a Volkswagen Polo. With all the rear seats down and only the 2 front ones left up, it looks like you'd have enough space for, well, an actual Volkswagen Polo. In the 5-seat configuration that most people are likely to use most of the time, you still get loads of space, about what you'd get in your average big family estate car. And back here, thanks to the X7's gargantuan dimensions, there is room for a 6'1" adult like me, and you even get your own climate controls up here, although that is part of the 5-zone climate control you get as part of the £16,000 Ultimate Pack. Oh yes, you did hear me correctly, £16,000. Other gadgets and gizmos you get with the Ultimate Pack include the huge panoramic glass sunroof, cooling and massaging functions for the front seats, and a very fancy Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Even without the fancy captain's chairs, you're extremely well catered for in the middle row. You've got loads of space, you've got bags of USB connections, you've got seat heating, you've got electric seat adjustment, and you've also got this really nice extra soft head cushion. And once again, if you spec that Ultimate Pack, you can control the side window blinds and the canopy for the panoramic roof. Hop into the driver's seat and you are faced with a frankly bewildering array of buttons and switches. You've got everything from the height adjustment for the air suspension to the switches to heat up or cool down whatever is in the cup holders. But the thing is, once you get used to all the buttons and what they do, it's actually really user-friendly in here. And look, we've even got an iDrive controller, thank heavens, because those are fast disappearing from many new BMWs. And what you control with that rotary dial is the 15-inch display that forms part of a smart-looking curved screen and sits next to the 12.3-inch driver's display. It's got BMW's latest operating system, which is definitely one of the best in the business. It's customizable without being confusing, easy to navigate quickly, and of course, it's touchscreen as well. You've also got wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto, although with the latest version of CarPlay it almost feels like the screen's actually too wide to make the most of it. Aside from the new curved screen setup, the most notable addition to the interior is new ambient lighting, which can be a little overbearing in some colours, but is very classy indeed if you can get just the right tone. But that's enough about the interior. Let's find out what the X7 is like on the road, shall we? As usual with BMW 6-cylinder petrol engines, the 3-litre unit in the X7 40i is really responsive, and it sounds brilliant when you want it to. But importantly, that engine noise stays incredibly well suppressed for the rest of the time. It's also magnificently quick, especially considering that that's not what this particular version of the X7 majors on. There's definitely something hilarious about a 2.5-ton SUV that can accelerate with hot hatch pace. This is a car that can accelerate from 0 to 62 in just 5.8 seconds. It acquits itself reasonably well on a winding back road as well, with direction changes that are actually surprisingly crisp, although you're always aware of the sheer size and the weight of the car. Of course, most of the time you're not going to be careering down an empty country road, so it's fortunate that the front seats are both impressively supportive and very comfortable indeed, even without that optional massage function. On pretty much any kind of road, the standard air suspension delivers a really nice, comfortable, plush ride, especially at higher speeds. At lower speeds, a really big pothole can send the odd thump through to the cabin, which does upset the otherwise a very serene vibe. But other than that, this is a brilliant high-speed cruiser. In town, the X7's colossal size does work against it. Fortunately, there's standard Parking Assistant Pro on UK X7s, which means you don't need to worry about parking spaces other than the difficulty of simply fitting into them. There's a range of cameras and sensors, plus the system will automatically drive you into and out of parking spaces, both on the street and in car parks. So, why might you choose an X7 over a Range Rover? Well, if you enjoy a spirited drive down a country road but you still need a big 7-seat SUV, then the X7 probably is a bit more fun. And perhaps it's not as stylish inside as a Rangey, but we do think it is a little bit plusher, and we suspect it'll be a little bit more robust as well. What it doesn't have is the off-road ability of the Range Rover. Perhaps more importantly though, the X7 badge doesn't quite have the same razzmatazz as the Range Rover badge does with this type of car. And to our eyes, it also doesn't look as good. And although all of the engines have mild hybrid technology, there is no plug-in hybrid option. However, it is considerably cheaper than a Range Rover, so while it's not exactly a bargain basement option, it is a better value one. But what do you think? Is a lower list price and a more lively driving experience a winning combination? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're considering buying a BMW X7 or indeed any SUV, head to cargurus.co.uk to find loads of great cars for sale from top-rated dealers, and with our super clever pricing technology, we'll even tell you whether it's a good deal or not.